Hello, folks, and welcome back to another Bensday with Batgirl and Ben, and this is take 2. Hi, Ben. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay.
And we talked just a few moments ago, Ben. The condolences.
Yeah.
Everybody sent out to you, and we feel for you and Allie. How did that go for the 2 weeks that you were gone?
This was the first. Yeah, if folks do not know, Allie's father, my father-in-law, passed away earlier, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So we had to go home for a little while. Everybody was just fantastically kind. We had, there were folks from the community sent flowers to the funeral. The team here, Sandy and Jared, were emailing me several times a day to ask how everything was going. They took care of everything so well. I can't thank them enough for keeping things running. Sandy, Jared, Hennessy, Justin, they just did a fantastic job. And it was amazing seeing the outpouring of love and support from Star Citizen backers everywhere. I'm really proud of the community.
Does it amaze you how they're able to find you and get all the flowers to you?
Yeah, I think I tweeted the obituary.
Not good.
Folks follow me on there.
Good.
Yeah, it was very strange taking time off Twitter. People are always asking, why are you and Allie always so, why are you always chatting on Twitter? It's because we met on Twitter. Twitter's always been our thing. So it's very strange not using it for a couple of weeks.
Wow. So how long before you were like bouncing off the walls and trying to get back to work?
For me, immediately. I mean, I go crazy when when I'm not working, but it was tough for everybody, and it was the first time we've had a parent die, and it was a big adjustment. But I wanted to be doing something the whole time, and when I couldn't help Allie, I wanted to be working. So they were kind enough to kick me some work I could do remotely when I begged for it.
Like checking on ship designs? No.
That's never worked.
That never work? Okay. I know that it's tough when you're away, and thank God they gave you the time to grieve, but also gave you things to do, because I know that when my mom passed, it was tough, and taking all that time off, if you do nothing, all you do is think about it. So a lot of times it's good to get into the fray occasionally, not all the time. But you did have some good stand-ins, and Forrest did a great job, but your joke was just not good.
I tell you what, I have an equally equally spontaneous pun segment we just shot with Jim Martin about the Buccaneer. You'll see that next week. This was one that was I think it went by so quickly that even Hennessy didn't know to boo. So I'm looking forward to that.
So you mentioned it, the Buccaneer. How's that standing up? Is it going to make Cutlass owners that want to trade happy?
Gosh, I hope so. You can never really predict. We can do ships that I think are the best thing in the universe. People just are not as into them as others. And I've seen ships. One of our best. I think it's the ship that's brought in the most revenue outside of the base 6 is the Carrack. And I remember when we were launching it, I was like, I'm so concerned that people are going to think it looks too much like the Constellation. But people fell in love with that one. You can never predict how people are going to react. I hope it does what the pirates want justice. It's a fierce scrapper of a ship. It's inspired by attack helicopters, Apache and Hind.
That's awesome.
With a little bit of fighter thrown in there. Jim Martin and I were looking at a printout that Jared had on his desk of it at different angles. Its silhouette is really cool.
Awesome.
It feels aggressive. It's a fighter.
That sounds wonderful, because if you're saying it has an attack helicopter, does it have like the chin-mounted gun that could go back and forth like this?
So we got 5. It's got 5 guns. One is a centerline gimbal, I believe, and then it has 2 canard mounts and 2 on the wings. And there's a lot of room for all of them to rotate. It looks fierce. In fact, when I was doing my wish list for artwork, I do we'll send to the different concept paint over artists who do the sale art, give them ideas for what their scene could be. I like to give them a lot of leeways because they are usually more creative than I am, and they can come up much better scene. But I'll come up with 6 to 10 base ideas that we send to them, and one of the ones I really wanted for this, and I'll say right now we haven't done it yet, maybe still, but is the you know how you have like a shot of like a B-52 with all the munitions out in front of it?
Yes.
I want to do that shot for a Star Citizen ship, and this seems like the most appropriate one.
That sounds awesome.
If we don't do that, somebody out there do it, because I want to see that image.
That would be awesome. And there's a lot of different ones. I remember making plastic models, and I had one of an F4, and I had all of the missiles and bombs and rockets and everything that thing carried, even the drones it would carry. That was pretty cool.
I actually bought a plastic model this morning. I haven't built one in years, but they just put up a Star Trek model. The AMT just took the F-104 Starfighter model and rebadged it as Star Trek from the episode where the Enterprise...
That's right.
It's so brilliant. Like, oh, we have leftover stock of these aircraft models. We already have the injection bolts. Let's sell them to Star Trek fans. I'm like, okay, you deserve my money for this one.
Funny thing is I have that model when it wasn't. The F-106 Delta Dart or Delta Dag? F-102 or F-106?
F-104 Starfighter.
F-104, okay. F-104 Starfighter. Totally different. I don't have that one. That's the one that, from the right stuff, where Jaeger went up to like 100,000 feet and then fell for like ever. That's pretty cool. I like it. And that's that's perfect marketing, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was really clever.
So, harpoons on the pirate ships? Yes? No?
No harpoons. Not so on the nose as that.
Really? We can't put dead bodies on it like the Reavers, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm instead of waiting a couple questions, I'm gonna ask you right off the bat the questions from the Polaris group that hits me every week. They have 2 questions, and one is, can you give a general range of the pricing of the Polaris? And be kind, you don't have to give an exact one, but like an over-under, you know, and if you could start reducing the over-under a little bit, that would be great. Greater than this, less than that. And the other thing is, a general time span. Spring, fall, winter. You notice how I said winter. Winter is not coming yet. Well, it did come.
So, as I told you last time, no,
you still have to answer for them.
I can't answer any of these questions ever. We have not officially priced it, so I can't give a number. We sit down at the end of the concept process and say, okay, here's the components, here's the rarity, here's all these different factors. We're actually doing an ATV segment where we talk about exactly how we do that. We might even use the Polaris as the example, because it has all sorts of components. If I had to guess, and this is me as a betting man, I can't give you any more detail than more expensive than an Orion and less expensive than an Idris.
Well, it's got to be less expensive than an Idris because it's a Corvette, not a frigate. Under
our current system, the Idris should cost a lot more money.
Stop.
So, but
you already did that. You already did that to Starfarer owners. See, my guess is if you guys keep it where it is, it should be priced somewhere around an 890 jump, maybe a little bit more expensive.
It's one of those things that it's frustrating because I would love to sell one to everyone in the world,
but
that also doesn't work for the game. So it's and then do you price it a little bit higher to keep everybody from having one at once, or do you do a limited number of them? We know people hate that, so there's all sorts of sales debates you have to have with this one.
Yeah.
When it's ready, I can't give a date, of course.
Right.
But I will say we've blocked essentially the silhouette, the general look of it. It's going to surprise people. It does not look like a traditional Corvette. You can read the manufacturer easily, but it's not going to be quite what people expect. It's very, very cool. I will say certainly later this year, but not necessarily. I can't give any more specifics than that.
So it's going to have a very distinctive RSI look.
I would say so.
Sharp lines. Okay. Well, we'll get more out of you as it gets closer.
Yeah, we'll get closer and all.
Well, when you guys announce pricing, I'll ask you questions. And
I hate to tease people like this because I wish I could tell you everything about it right now.
I can't believe how many people are like anxious for this. For me, I look at the subscription and billing page and I almost die every time I do because it's like that many zeros after a 3. Oh my God. And I'm like, well, I do the show and yeah, that's the reason I do it. But it's like looking at the ship. I'm like, oh my God, there's going to be a 4 at the front of that number by the time the ship comes out. So
honestly, I'm tremendously excited about someday in the not too distant future where I can be working on the design of ships and not even think about price. Where it is, here's the next ship that's going to go in the game, because
it'll be UEC instead of
Yeah.
dollars and cents. And if people want to buy UEC, that's up to them. You either invest in time or you invest in money. That's the way I think it's going to work in the end. So that's good.
I mean, one of the great things about the people doing this right now, none of us are salesmen. None of us want to be selling things. It is the way the game gets made, but we'd all rather just be doing everything we can to create cool ships. So.
But sometimes these sales actually bring in revenue, and other times these sales actually just bring in a lot of swaps.
We have a lot of swaps, and
Yeah.
I'm proud of the fact that we're giving people tools so they don't have to give us so much money if they see a ship they like more than one they already have. Man, I would love to give out ships for free, but I can't because I have to keep my job.
But we're giving one out here on this show next episode because we forgot to do that last episode, and we'll talk about that at the end of this one.
All right.
Okay.
Not worrying about the money part of ships is going to be good.
Awesome. So let's get on to some questions so we can get you going since you're here for 2 takes today. And the recorder is still working. It says 1428 right now.
That's good news.
Yeah, that's good news. Knock wood. I don't have any wood. It's all plastic. Night Lord asks, will the UEE logo or seal be getting any additional work to bring it up to par with other in-game insignias company logos? I would think the official emblem of the Empire would be a bit more detailed.
No, I think we're pretty happy with it as it stands. And one of the design directors for that one way back when was as simple as possible. You look at like your average flag, and unless you're some crazy state like Maryland with weird checkerboards and lions and stuff, it's a flag is a couple colors. It should be easily identifiable. I'm sure we will do some cool stylized versions as needed for different surfaces, like if we have to do a flag version and we have to do a rattle version, and so on and so on. But I don't think the actual design will change much.
Okay. And then Night Lord wants to know, will procedural tech be used for anything else in game other than planets? Think particle effects, nebulas, explosions, or maybe even smaller events like jet wash that we see from ships landing on landing pads.
Absolutely. We talk about procedural tech right now as building planets because that's really fluffing cool. And, it took the multiple Star Trek movies to get to the point where you could generate a planet. But they will certainly use the tech for this. I can't give details, it's not my place. But, we started looking into procedural tech way back when to do asteroid fields and mining. And so moved on to planets, and I'm sure it will apply to plenty of interesting game parts.
Okay. One thing. Are you leaving? No. Okay. All right. Just wanted to check with my roommate. Sorry, guys. Didn't mean to interfere. I think that's great because when I think of the procedural tech, I think of all the things that are in the game. Procedural asteroid fields, and, you're going to have to add mining veins to those. Those could be done procedurally, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff it's procedural by default almost. Of course, that's how it's going to work. It's not as exciting as coming up with a thing you sort of flip and create an entire ecosphere. So we focus a lot on the planets, but there's all sorts of procedural stuff.
Right.
And procedural missions down the road. Economics. It's the future.
I want the community team logged in on a weekly basis doing live events in the game. No procedural stuff. Real live people.
We definitely want to do that now.
Yeah. Urs Lakar, and he wants to know, will planets have different gravity? Would be nice to jump over a ship on one planet and barely move on the other because the gravity is too strong.
Yes, but that will happen. My recollection is that's actually in stock CryEngine already. It's purely a change. That's a cool game mechanic because it's one of those minor changes that's going to introduce all sorts of emergent gameplay. Maybe when you discover a new planet, you don't know if it's necessarily safe to land there. Maybe you can't take off again because the gravity is so bad. Maybe you need your science ship to go there first, and learn about the world, and then you need to plan what you're going to take down there. Hey, maybe my heavy armor is going to crush me if I'm on this super dense planet, or maybe this planet's atmosphere is toxic and I need a special suit. So little variables like that give you gameplay that fans out in all different directions. So definitely something to think about.
That's good. That's good. Second question he wants to know is, what can we do to avoid combat in space? As a freelancer DUR pilot, I will have some stronger sensors to detect incoming ships, and that's a question. I guess he wanted to say, will I have?
Yeah, I believe the DUR is the exploration one. It has the advanced sensor suite.
Yeah, but are they sensors looking for ships, or are they sensors looking for anomalies and jump holes? That's my question.
That one may be the jump point scanner. I
yeah.
The stuff. But there certainly will be scanners where it's showing you more threats at a further range, so you can avoid them. Engine. I mean, this is one of those player choice things. Do you want to beef up your engines so you can run away from combat? Do you want to beef up your shields and armor so you survive combat? Do you want to spend your upgrade ability on e-warfare stuff? Am I going to spoof another ship that won't be interesting to pirates? Am I going to... There's all sorts of options for getting out of a fight.
That's good. And, you know, we're not going to ask that question now because it's been asked on 10 for the Chairman. There's also that slider that lets you not take part so much in PvP stuff. So
yeah, you still fight AI, but
yeah,
it's not so much a turn off the game sort of thing, but it's replace human with AI.
Yeah. Will MCC asks, with clothing coming out soon... Oh, this was the fun question. Okay. With clothing coming out soon, I was wondering about accessories, such as an umbrella. Will there be rain on distant alien worlds? Will I need an umbrella? Will I be able to hook it on my arm and walk around looking like a British aristocrat? Also towels, because one should always have a towel.
Okay, first of all, this dude loves umbrellas. Props to you. I love when people are fans of things, especially when I don't understand it. So if you are indeed part of some sort of umbrella fandom, thumbs up. Umbrellas all night long. To answer the actual question, I don't know that we have umbrellas as an accessory right now. Weather is a thing, so we do have weather effects on maps. And towels, of course, we already have in-game. You can pick up a towel. We've got one in that.
And you twirl it up and snap it at each other? No, sorry.
Well, I'm going to say, okay, so don't suggest that to anybody because I can already see, like, Steve Bender grinning with glee at the idea of recording that mocap session. So, all
right, so you heard it here, people. Let's start a petition to get snapping towels in the game.
No. Yeah, there's a change.org.
Yeah, right. Well, we're actually, for the first time, we're actually growing exponentially the viewers of this channel, so that's wonderful. So you might get a bunch of people asking. Who knows?
Yeah, that won't make Star Citizen backers look like crazy people. You can see the PC Gamer article right now. Star Citizen towel crisis.
Terrible towel, Pittsburgh. No, sorry. Oh, here we go again. I thought we turned this off. Yes, we do. This is just like the last one, and I think this is exactly when the last time it stopped recording. But it didn't this time because it moved me off the screen. All right, good. Awesome.
About last time? Somehow we got onto Alan Alda.
We'll get there soon.
Okay.
Don't worry, Alan Alda's coming. Folks, he is foreshadowing something he shouldn't be foreshadowing. You didn't hear this. Watch the pen. No. All right, so where were we going now? We were going to Ken Sadlin. So a question about the Prospector. We'll also be able to cut up ship scrap, like for small-scale reclaiming, where there'll be a small, dedicated reclaiming ship.
I forgot about this one.
Yeah.
So the Prospector is not the same as a ship for surveying wrecks. Call it a surveyor, I guess. We have talked about doing a ship of that nature, whether it's a ship that's entirely dedicated to salvage, or a module for another ship, or even for the Prospector might be something. The default Prospector does not have a cutting beam or the scanners for that, but it would be a pretty good basis for that. We have another ship we kicked off this week. I can't say what it is yet. I'm very sorry about the tease again.
It's okay.
it's very heavily modular with these cores that switch out. That it's going to be a candidate for that.
Oh, that's good. Because I think this is where I was talking about how a lot of the military aircraft, ships, and tanks these days are very modular. Like the Russians with the T-14, T-15, using one for a main battle tank, using one for a armored personnel carrier. Poland starting to do that, along with the British. And the U.S. does that with the F-30, well, kind of, sort of, with the F-35, but
Sort of.
we won't talk about the F-35 because John McCain doesn't like it.
Yeah, I saw a Tumblr post the other day that the first line was like, "Trigger warning, this post mentions the F-35. So
Yeah.
society's weird today.
I have to support the F-35 because I live in Atlanta and that's where Lockheed is.
My dad worked for Lockheed when I was a kid, so I guess I
Oh,
have to
cool.
support it too.
Yeah.
There's essentially two kinds of modularity that we have kind of both in reality and in Star Citizen. One where it's, here's something you swap out at any time. You know, I park in my garage and I take a tire off, put a snow tire on, or I take a weapons pod off or put another one on up on a sandy airstrip in the desert somewhere. That's certainly in Star Citizen. And then you have kind of the ones you were more talking about where it's, these are technically interchangeable, but you would need to take it into a shipyard or some fancier place to have an expert.
No, it's modular at construction, so it never changes after that. So you get to a certain tree. Here's the hull. You go this way, it's an armored personnel carrier. You go that way, it's a main battle tank, but that's what it always is. And in this situation, you would have one hull that, with this configuration, it only can be a reclaimer, and in this configuration, it could only be a miner.
Yeah, we do a lot of that with, I guess, some of the earlier variants are more in that sense.
Yeah, and it makes sense because it makes things easier. It's cheaper in reality to make things that way and use the same frame for things. I mean, when you look at cars today, a lot of the cars are 3 different cars with the same frame. So you never know. So that's a good answer. I like that one. So the Navigator, and this is the one where I said Dune, and you said?
I said Flight of the Navigator.
I think it's Dune. I like the spice. Get off me, cat. So a question, so... So, oh, by the way, they just released the original Dune Command and Conquer style game remastered on Steam for like $20.
I have to go now.
Yeah, well, no, you can't go. Did you play that? That was a good game.
That was...
It's not good the second time around, but it was good back then.
So, it's a fantastic game in Invented Darkness for me. I spent many, many years of that. It is true, it's very, very difficult to go back to it because you can't group the units. But I have such fun memories of that game.
I wonder if they do that with the remastered version, though. I wonder if they add those features. I'd have to look at that.
They did Dune 2000, which was kind of a remake of the original that added that.
Yeah.
That game was something special.
Yeah.
If I'm not a Wing Commander fan, I would certainly be a crazy Dune gamer.
Would it be freaking awesome if somebody remastered Wing Commander? That would be awesome.
That would be nice.
Yeah, somebody go out there and do that for us? No. So the Navigator has...
If you work for Electronic Arts and you have the Wing Commander franchise, give me a call. I will waste your time.
We said Electronic Arts on the show. Yes, I know. Go Battlefront. No, sorry. All right, so... but Battlefield 1 looks awesome.
I agree. So there was all this awesome gaming news out, and it was kind of cool to come back now. Like
we should just do a non-Star Citizen show and just talk about all the gaming news.
Absolutely. Battlefield 1.
That looks amazing.
Pokemon,
Warhammer, Total War Warhammer.
Yeah, they've tried to sell me too many Warhammer games. I'm very cautious in that angle.
Well,
Civilization?
Civ 6, which goes back to the roots of Civilization. You could kind of, sort of group people. You could take one infantry, tank, whatever, and then add a couple of things to it. But it's still one. We'll see.
Old. I still consider Civilization 2 to be the new one.
Civ 2, yeah. Civ 4 was my favorite, but it took a while for it to grow on me. And Civ 5 is good, really good, but I think 6 is going to take it. All right, so let's get to, speaking of remastered, let's talk about the Navigator. Has there been any update on the F7A military Hornet upgrade? I know it's supposed to be just cosmetic, but how will that work with the Super Hornet? When will it be added? And then he says, thank you in advance for all your hard work. And we did talk about this with you telling us about the Super Hornet, or the Hornet, inside of Squadron 42.
Yeah, so I can say right now that the remodeling of the final Hornet, current Hornet, up to the present-day standard Hornet is going on right now for Squadron 42. So Chris Smith and the guys have been working on the military Hornet right now, or they are working on the military Hornet right now. And it's very nice. It's distinctly different. I will go back to the kind of references I use for everything that makes sense to very few people, but it's the difference between the Rapier in the original Wing Commander and the Rapier in Wing Commander 2.
Oh.
Essentially. So we're looking forward to showing that. We're not going to be putting it anywhere. You're going to see it first in Squadron material. It would be Squadron trailer, Squadron demo, something like that, before we have it in Crusader and so on for everybody else.
Now, for you folks looking at what this F7A military Hornet upgrade is, it was sold probably about 3 years ago, right? As a charity event, right?
Yes, we did a charity event. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was for Veterans Day or Memorial Day, but a military charity reached out to us and asked if we could do some sort of Star Citizen upgrade that wouldn't cost us so much development time, but might bring in some donations for them. We raised a whole bunch of money for them. We're really proud of that, and we kind of haven't talked about it since then.
So we're not going to see this until after Squadron 42 comes out, but it essentially will transform the cosmetic look of your ship into that of an F7A. So if you have an F7C or an F7CM, F7CS, F7CT, whatever it is, it'll look just like an F7A, but still have the same capabilities of the variant that you own. You will not gain the capabilities of an F7A.
Yeah, it's like one of those. It gains some statistical ability, in terms of how sensors deflect off you. The shape will be different. Maybe minor differences in the armor. But, that's essentially what it is. We're probably not going to bring that back anytime soon. It's kind of for that event.
Right. I think that works that way. That's good. For those people that took part in it, they feel good about it being a charity and they got something special for it. And I like that you do things like that. Who knows? Maybe you do it with a different ship in the future.
Yeah, and at the time, we gave folks the option to buy it without supporting a charity if they weren't in support of military charities. So that worked out well, and I don't think there's a reason to offer it again.
Okay. So Rufus Ultra asked a question about the Prospector, and this was about numbers, if you remember. So I'm going to ask you the whole question this time so you could answer it in the context that he's asking. I wonder how many Prospectors are out there after the concept sale. And to set that in context, can you share some statistics with us, like what was the most popular ship in the verse, cargo versus fighter, and do you expect a shift in that ratio when the new game mechanics like cargo hauling and mining go live? So that's a multi-part question. What do you want to answer out of that question?
I can answer all of that.
Okay.
Last time I chatted through this question while I looked it up in...
It was 14,103.
Something like that. 14,315.
There you go, 315. Good.
14,315. That's how many prospectors we have active right now. I'm sure some have been melted since the sale. Which is a fascinating number. That's a crazy number of ships. You can see that one of the trends right now is that instead of people new money into the system, a lot of them simply upgrade to the ship they like better. One of the things I'm really proud of about our system now is that you can do that. You can our longtime backers have some choice rather than having to give us money, and we still bring in money from these sales. We bring in plenty of money from the sales that keep the game running. It's a good balance of everything. We as for what the best-selling ship, I think statistically it's going to be one of the snubs just because they're snow cheap and people buy them to save for some reason.
People buy them to melt them, or no, to use CCUs to get LTI on a ship they might want later.
Yeah, so by the numbers, those are probably...
Because LTI means everything, sorry.
So those are up there. The Carrack is the ship that I think has brought in the most revenue outside of the lower, the original 6. So there's all sorts of things. It's interesting. We watch the trends. We see what people are melting. It's almost as big a data point as the the giant forum threads you see, which of course we also follow, but we'll also say, hey, a disproportionate number of people were melting their auroras this week. What's going on there? So that's valuable information to us. It's worth having that in the system just for that.
Melting and repurchasing is how I got from the original Aurora I bought for the first episode of this series to having over $3,500 worth of ships and merchandise at this point. And I know that's nothing compared to a lot of people out there. You and I met that guy that had over 100 ships when we were
incredibly supportive people.
Yeah. Remember, he had to have 10 of everything. Do you remember that? Or not 10, but like multiples of everything? Was that Captain Bob? I think that was Captain Bob or yeah, it was.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He was an amazing guy. Everyone we met there, Kelsey, all those people were amazing. That was at Dragon Con. We'll talk about that soon, folks.
People are so kind. And one of the, I was actually just remarking this this morning as we were talking about some case where folks were selling concierge cards on eBay or something, saying, the people who are buying lots of ships aren't crazy idiots. They're people who have been smart enough to get this money in the first place, and they're doing something they enjoy with it.
Yep.
Nonetheless, I mean, I'm very, very glad that we're moving away from that aspect of ship development. I very much look for, the marketing is the least favorite part of our job. Nobody here is a marketer. We want to build a game, so it's very nice to be able to. It will be incredibly nice to get to the point where we can just design ships because they'll add to the game.
Okay.
The money is essential right now. It keeps everything going. It allows us to continue to scale, but down the line, it's going to be pretty cool when it works differently.
And we'll have to talk to Sandy about how she expects to make money when you're not selling ships.
I think just with UEC, there are all sorts of plans.
Yeah. Well, Lord of the Rings makes money by selling tokens or something, so who knows?
There's UEC,
skins,
single-player add-on, there's
sunglasses. No.
Yeah.
How does Guild Wars do it? All like stuff that you put on, vanity items? Who knows?
Game doesn't necessarily have to do that. I mean, Ultima Online was the biggest thing in the world for a while, and they back then anyway, it was just it was subscription models.
Well, maybe you do something like Eve with Plex.
The stuff it's going to be about giving players options rather than taking things away.
Yeah.
The worst thing a game can do is say, here's all this incredible stuff, give me $10 and you can play it and you can get to it maybe. So as long as we aren't doing that, I'm happy.
Okay. We're talking more this time. We were supposed to go less. So we have those last two questions. The one is from Tanis. So I was looking at the old Aurora, remembering back in 2943 when they first released the 2944s, when I was a poor would-be pilot starting to smuggle, ship cargo. I bought a shiny new Aurora Legionnaire. I remember drooling over the upgrades. It was bigger, faster, and had more teeth. And the slogan, "This one is yours." I just had to have it. Well, she's paid off for a while now, gathering dust at the back of the hangar, with lots of other ships parked in front of her. And the 2947 models should be here soon. Are they coming?
They are coming. In fact, we talked about this earlier this week. We were looking at scheduling the rebuilds for the Aurora and the 300, and we were saying, one of the things we can do when we go back and fix up the Aurora, the existing Auroras, is do the next year's models at the same time. We'll sell for that and start to introduce that concept. It's definitely something we want to.
Okay. And now it is time for your SAT question. So you got to put your thinking cap on and listen to the question this time, and wait for the question and answer the question. Say that a half-loaded Hull-E launches from Point Olisar at 22:58 Crusader local time to quantum drive towards Stanton, and a fully loaded Hull-D launches from Stanton at 23:03 Stanton local time to quantum drive to Point Olisar. At which point are we then able to move cargo in the PU universe? Unhappy face. No, sorry.
So I'm going to do my same joke again. African Hull-D or a European Hull-D? No, it's you've seen, you folks have seen the mechanics are starting to be in there. We'll get there. Probably not in 2.4 or 2.5, but It's coming.
Is it the big upgrade for around Gamescom?
I think we have some sexier stuff.
Okay. Everybody gets an Idris. No, sorry. I mean, everyone who bought an Idris gets it. All right, that's pretty cool.
Haven't even managed that yet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. So, that will be it, but we have a couple of things to talk about. There was supposed to be a Starfarer given out on the last episode. Didn't happen because Ben had the death in his wife's family. I'm sorry. And I, myself, evaded a situation close to death with an infection I got from my surgery.
Yeah, we talked about that more last time, but I'm really glad you're okay. I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, finals week, and all of a sudden, it was really weird. It was a freak accident. I went to a business meeting.
Let's be clear, it was a death hug.
What?
It was a death hug, right?
It was a death hug. So, I don't always talk about who I work for, but I work for the big company named after a piece of fruit. And we had a big, the pear pod, whatever it is. And I went to a business meeting, and my regional manager, senior regional manager, is a former Marine drill sergeant, and always energetic, and gave me one of these one-armed hugs and put his shoulder into my throat. They're looking for you, aren't they? And I perforated my trachea.
On my wall.
Who is?
Can't be the message, but he's writing.
Okay. All right, and I wound up getting an infection from a hug. Hey! I wound up getting an infection from a hug, and that was it. And came close to having to be hospitalized, but instead was given massive doses of antibiotics, which means I can't talk to real people because I have no immune system myself. But that's okay.
Did you explain the hug thing this time? Because it sounds like a weird euphemism if you don't. Who was actually hugging you?
It was a one-arm. People give these one-arm hugs in these big rah-rah sessions, and they one-arm hug and they shoulder bump each other. Only his shoulder didn't hit my shoulder; it hit my throat. That was it, and it just perforated my trachea because it was only 15 days after surgery, just a tiny little bit, and then infection. Who knows? But that's what happened. But nonetheless, I appreciate Ben. What really matters is we're giving away Starfarer next week. And it's to the people that have asked questions.
Not better more than your health, by the way.
But I'm better. I'm not dead. I'm not done. Well, I might need surgery, folks, just to have the sutures that are in there removed, because evidently when you have an infection, sutures, whether they be titanium, I have a piece of titanium in my throat, people.
Just like Iron Man.
I think Iron Man gets into the titanium. The titanium is in me. The palladium is in him.
I've got a silicon eye, and it's not as cool as it sounds.
Are you Sandy Duncan? No, sorry. People don't know who Sandy Duncan is, too. Well, actually, our viewing audience is older. They might know who she is. So that's pretty cool. But Starfarer will be given away next week. Ben and I will put it out, and know when you do win, whoever you are, it's going to take a while to get to you because it's like lots of lots of bureaucracy over at CIG to get it from one person to another.
I'm slow.
It's not Ben at all. It's not Ben at all.
It totally is. Yeah, we did for Sophie Girl Streaming Giveaway a Prospector, and I was supposed to put it on the cap 3 weeks ago. We just did it this morning, so I feel bad.
Well, the last person that won on my show, it took you 3 months to get it to him.
Sorry. But we do eventually get it. That's the start of the experience.
Well, the issue right now is you can't use the ship, and it doesn't exist right now, but the Starfarer is going to be inside the next patch. So if we give it away, you're going to want to get that done as quickly as possible.
We'll do it quick.
Second piece was Dragon Con, but we'll talk about that next week because we're going to let Ben go because he spent over an hour with me today, and thank you for that, Ben.
Oh, anytime. I'm happy to do it.
And this will air tomorrow, and whatever we were talking about, if this airs tomorrow or not, I think I know what we were talking about.
2-4.
I know what we were talking about when we said Alan Alda.
What's that?
When you said the Aurora, I said you better make whatever that... whatever that variant is this year, to be a mini ambulance. And
that's
put
right,
the two...
and I sang the mash song. Yeah.
I think the Aurora would make a great ambulance because it looks like a helicopter, kind of, sort of.
No, but this is the good news I've been waiting to tell you, this whole thing. Last time, we were like, Alan Alda, he's really like, oh, Alda's dead. And I was like, oh my God, he is. And I looked it up between our filmings, and he's still alive. So,
right?
Save Alan Alda, yeah.
But then who told him? It was my roommate. Because he was on, oh, I'm going to kill somebody.
No, be happy. Alan Alda's still alive.
No, he dies at 82. It was Trapper John that died.
Oh, yeah.
I am so sorry, folks. So sorry. Trapper John died.
Which is also sad.
Yeah. Actor killed by death hoax. See? It was a death hoax and I fell for it. Alan Alda dead, 2016. It was a hoax and I fell for it. I fell for it. Look at this. This is what I fell for. If you can see that. I can't believe this.
I know that all our viewers heard me say, let me talk about 2.4, and we did this, so I should probably go ahead and get out there.
Yeah, you gotta go. You gotta go. We were talking about 2.4 before, folks. There was a no-go today.
I will say, because people want to hear this, we did just before this did the no-go, and unfortunately it was a no-go for a wider PTU. What's happening with 2.4 is that we've uncovered all these bugs with the Evocati testing that are a result of the move to persistence. It's such a big sea change that it's taking longer. We really want to get it out there to live. We want people to fly the Starfarer, see the Reliant in the hangar, shop. It's such a big change to the game. We really want to get it out there, but it's not ready for live yet. So we're fighting a bunch of bugs, almost there. We'll talk more about it on RTV tomorrow, which you may already have seen. If I don't know when this will air compared to RTV, but
it'll air before RTV.
Yeah, we folks are being incredibly patient with this one. We really appreciate it. It's going to be worth the wait. Just a little more time.
One question, because we're going to go right after that question. Mm-hmm. Does the Evocati testing it, does that reduce the amount of testing time that you need to have, or are you still going to stage it? Like,
for this one, the current plan is to do a gradiated, hopefully quick, gradual rollout where you do 1,000, then 2,000, 10,000, so on. Just because we want to see the impact on persistence. There may be some magic number where, oh no, you have 10,000 players and everything falls down again. So it's going to be one of those. Maybe happening by the time you hear this. Maybe not.
It won't be because it will be tomorrow morning.
Well, we have a go-no-go call every morning at 9 a.m. Pacific and around 4 p.m. Pacific. So,
okay. All right, good.
But it's going to be good. We're as eager to have it out as you guys are to play it.
All right. Well, Ben, thank you for spending an evening with me at this point. It's almost like being on Joe's show. Oh, what was his show called? I forget. Starcast. Mm-hmm.
Right. Has to do it. I remember he had his heart attack right as we had our own problems, and I saw he came out of the surgery well. But I haven't followed up with him. Has he?
I haven't talked to him, and he's part of the group that I'm part of, and I need to see how he's doing.
I'll send him a Twitter message.
Yeah. So, folks, we're gonna let Ben go. We're gonna let me go because I have to go eat, and then I gotta get this edited so you can have it before RTV tomorrow. And with that said, you all be safe out there, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Ben, thank you.
Of course. Anytime.
Bye.